Welcome to No Small Roles. This is the show where I speak with fellow actors about their careers and about some of their smaller roles in big movies and TV, and how those roles were, in fact, not at all small for the actors who played them. Today's guest is the one and only Jesse James. Jesse, thank you for joining the show.
Hello, yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm very honored to have you. So everyone, you know Jesse from 8 bazillion things. So Jesse is from Walker, Texas Ranger, As Good as It Gets, Gods and Monsters, Gingerbread Man, ER, Message in a Bottle, X-Files, Angel, Felicity, Chicago Hope, Blow, Pearl Harbor, Butterfly Effect, Monk, Amityville Horror, Veronica Mars, Jumper, In Plain Sight, The Mentalist, Bones, The Last Ride, Mad Men, we're getting there, Wishing and Hoping, Aquarius, The Lucky Man, The Good Doctor, Valley of Boom, TMI Hollywood, Lonesome Soldier, and much, much more. That is just a few titles that I stole from IMDb.
Yeah.
But holy cow, that's a lot of stuff. Now I like to jump into the heaviest question first, just because, you know, that it kind of breaks the ice. And, you know, a lot of people get emotional with this question. Do you prefer grilled cheese with or without tomato?
Without, 100%. I'm not a tomato guy. I will say if the tomatoes have been really thoroughly cooked beforehand, then that's okay. I don't like raw tomatoes. For me, a tomato has to have been cooked. I can't eat just like a raw sliced tomato. That'll ruin a hamburger.
Wow.
Raw cherry tomato, ruin a salad. But if that cherry tomato is cooked on a pizza, oh, it's like a little flavor bomb. Yeah, cooked tomato in any other processed cooked fashion, delicious.
Yeah. Wow, that is the most definitive answer I've had on that question.
Yeah. So if you got that tomato real nice and cooked in there, or maybe some like sliced cherry tomatoes that have been cooked inside of grilled cheese, that sounds pretty good. But just tomatoes inside of grilled cheese, no thank you.
All right, so if you come out east, I'll make you one with cooked
ketchup.
tomato.
Dipping a grilled cheese in ketchup, again, some sort of processed tomato, I can dig it. But it's the raw sliced tomato, not for me.
Would you put grilled cheese in tomato soup, like hot tomato soup?
Oh yeah, after school special.
Yeah. Okay. And even though you're in California, where, I mean, because it gets cold here, we do a lot of like hot tomato soup in the winter, and I don't know, that's a thing there too.
I'm telling you, as long just a raw tomato, can't do it. But in any other capacity, cooked, processed, fashioned, salsified, whatever, I'll love it.
Okay, I respect that. Oh, well, thank you for
and the same with an avocado. I don't like raw avocados, but if it's been turned into guacamole, I'll eat that.
Oh, you don't? My wife loves them in her salad, but
I'm a weirdo.
No, you're not a weirdo. I respect that. So this is hard because usually I go into why someone is an actor, but you started insanely young. So I'm going to ask you anyway, but why have you subjected yourself to this business?
Yeah, I ask myself a lot.
We all do.
Increasingly, yeah. I was a pretty like expressive, animated little kid, but I don't think I ever had any like ideas of being an actor. I was 5. My dad was trying to be an actor. He got headshots taken with his manager at the time, and asked if he'd take some pictures of me, just for fun, for my mom.
Yeah.
And at first he said no, because he didn't work with kids, and my dad kind of talked him into it, and he took some pictures of me, and he liked my personality or whatever, and he thought I should try acting, and he offered to manage me. And we just kind of figured, sure, why not? I lived in Palm Springs at the time, and all the auditions were in Los Angeles. That's like a 3-hour drive, give or take.
Wow.
So yeah, for every audition, it was a super long drive. I was 5 years old, almost 6.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Basically, my folks sat down to me, and they were just like, it wasn't like I was forced to do this.
Yeah.
They were very much like, hey, this is an opportunity. If you want to go on these auditions, try to be whatever. I was like, sure, yeah, I'll do it. And it was fun. I liked doing it. Going on.
Yeah.
I liked the acting part of it. The driving auditions weren't fun. The sitting in the waiting room wasn't fun. There's a lot of parts of it that weren't fun, but the actual acting part was always a lot of fun.
It took you away from your friends too, I imagine, like hanging out with your friends after school, that kind of thing.
Big time, yeah. Over the years, I missed out on so many school activities and fun stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, basically, yeah, I didn't, it was fine. It wasn't something I was crazy, passionate about. It was just something fun that we were doing and whatever. And then, As Good as It Gets came along, and that was, me and my dad were in LA already for an audition or two that we'd been there for. I think we had two or three that day, and they were like cattle call commercial auditions, full of fellow 5-year-old kids screaming with their parents, and traffic between auditions, and it was just a particularly rough one. Like, we'd already done a bunch, but that one it was bad. And I told my dad, I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I don't like this.
Wow.
And my dad,
you were going to retire from the business right at the beginning.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, yeah, it was, this is that's what it was at that point. It was at least a 2-hour drive from Palm Springs to LA, and then a 2-hour drive back. So it was a long drive when you're a kid, and getting there, and these cattle calls, and there wasn't much of a reward to, you know what I mean? There was So as a kid, at that point, at that day, it was just a bad day, and it was a bad couple of appointments, and
I want to get to that day in a second, because that's a huge day. That's a really, really big day. Could you imagine though if you had self-taping back then? Wouldn't that?
I wouldn't have a career if self-taping was the
really
case. 100%.
Oh, because
100%. Okay. We can get into that. I'm so.
I want to get into that.
I hate self-taping so much. There are so many parts that I wouldn't have gotten if self-tape if it was how it was right now.
Oh, that's interesting. I do want to get into that. But first, before we continue, we have this segment which I've mentioned to you called the Kiss and Tell, where people share a little behind the scenes story of something that excited them or turned them off or whatever. And I was going to show the little picture for that. So that's the daily Kiss and Tell. In one word, can you tease your Kiss and Tell? Though yours might have 2 stories, you can say 2 words. Got my pen.
Slap.
Okay.
Snub.
Slap and snub.
How about that?
Oh, I like it. That's good. Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we kind of teased this, but you went from doing lots of auditions. You're like, okay, kind of go with the flow. This is kind of cool. You're starting to think, this is busy and this isn't super fun. And then continue where we were with this big day where you were right on the cusp.
Yeah, it was just a not so great day. I told my dad, I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. We've been doing it, I think, for a couple weeks, and they're just. I think I did a Domino's pizza commercial. I think that was like the only thing I'd like booked. And then we went and shot, and it was wearing a bunch of hockey gear. It was a thing inside a hocky rink, whatever.
Wait, so this is just a couple of weeks in?
Yeah, I did like a quick little. I did a Domino's thing. I did a Sesame Street thing too. I honestly can't remember if that was before or after As Good as It Gets, but I did a little thing on Sesame Street too, which is funny because my little siblings are 15 and 20 years younger than me, and so they were little. They would be watching Sesame Street, and every now and then I'd pop up on there going, Victrola.
Oh, I bet they loved it.
It was kind of funny. So anyway, I'd done a couple little things in this first few months, weeks, whatever. We hadn't been doing it for very long.
I saw Walker, Texas Ranger. Is this after that or before that?
I shot that after As Good as It Gets. It came out before As Good as It Gets, so I think that's why it comes first on my IMDb. But the very first thing I really did was As Good as It Gets, besides the Domino's commercial and Sesame Street. I don't think I have credits for those.
I've never heard of As Good as It Gets. What is that? And you're teasing it on the wall right there. Oh, it's got who signed it? Whose autograph or whatever it is.
Let's see. I've got Jack and Greg Kinnear and Shirley Knight and Helen Hunt.
Oh man.
Jack Nicholson says, "Cover your mouth when you cough, kid." Because he improvised that line on the set. Actually, I coughed at him, and he said that at one point that got left in the movie.
That's really cool. That's really cool, man. So, how does that happen? How do you go from that kid that's about to just drop out of the business after a couple of weeks to landing that?
That was on that day. We hadn't left LA yet, and I told my dad, I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And so my dad, right there, like before we even left, we were in the parking lot. My dad called my manager, and was like, yeah, Jesse, I don't think he's feeling this anymore. It was kind of a bad day, whatever, this or that. And my manager, Dino May, who's still my manager today, he was like, okay, that's totally fine. I get it. That's fine. But before you do, I worked really hard for this. It's today. You don't have to go back to Palm Springs yet. Like, while you're still in LA, if you can make it, get over to Culver City or whatever. Go to this appointment. It's for this James L. Brooks movie. It's called Old Friends. As Good as It Gets was called Old Friends until I feel like only a few months before it came out. The whole time we were shooting it, we always knew of the movie as Old Friends. As Good as It Gets was a pretty new title.
Yeah.
So Old Friends, go to this audition. It's this James L. Brooks movie with Jack Nicholson. It's this afternoon. Go get over there and just go on this last one. And that's totally fine, and then you can be done. That's all it. But as long as you're in town, I worked hard. I got you this one. Just go to this one, and then you can be done. And I did. And I went to the appointment. I guess he had to work hard to get me the appointment because it was the script was for a 12-year-old overweight redhead. Spencer was the character. I'm pretty sure they wanted Patrick Renna, the kid from The Sandlot and The Big Green. Just that description. He was popular at that time. I was 12-year-old overweight redhead. I was a skinny blonde. I think I just turned 6, or I was about to turn 6.
Not cute at all.
Yes, horribly ugly.
You're probably the reason I have kids now. My wife's like, "Oh, I want a cute kid like that."
Yeah, I don't. So I went in for the audition, and I think that it's like I tell my students, sometimes they don't know what they're looking for, right? They'll put out the description, and you can get the audition and think, oh, well, there's no way I'm going to get this because it's not what they're looking for. Yeah, you don't always know.
True.
So yeah, I went in and auditioned, and then I had to end up coming back in for like 3 or 4 more callbacks.
Oh wow.
That's a lot of callbacks, 3 or 4 at least.
How was that as a kid? Is that stressful, or are you like, oh, I'll just do? They want to see me again, okay?
I don't even remember, honestly. Yeah, okay. That's the beautiful part about being a kid actor is there's so little pressure, or at least for me, because my parents didn't put pressure. It wasn't.
That's awesome.
And as a kid, there's not that thought of this is my career and there's stakes and all this stuff that goes into your head as an adult.
Yes.
As a kid, it's just pretend. It's just, okay, go in there, play a game, and then come out. It's the most lowest. It was so easy and fun, and I didn't have to think about it. And I honestly, that's probably part of why I found some success. And because to me, I was just being myself. I was just being a little kid. There was no technique or thought or process that went into any of it when I was a kid, it was all just pure fun, pretend, and instinct and whatever. It's not until I was probably 12 or 13 that it was this, I can do this and da 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 da. Actually, okay, I will get to that, but it's
because you scared me.
It was, so yeah. Anyways, 3 or 4 callbacks, and I got it, and then everything just kind of snowballed from there. The thought of quitting never really went into my head again, because from that point it became really awesome and fun.
Well, you talked about being yourself, and a few roles later, I would be terrified if that's who you are. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, that was the one. That was the one that.
There's changed. A couple where you're an aggressive dude. But we'll get to those. Okay, I'm gonna play a wee little montage of clips, if you don't mind, from this film called As Good as It Gets.
How you doing? You should answer someone when they speak to you.
I'm sorry, Melvin, that's it. I cannot handle you teaching my son manners.
Shut up, kids!
Give us a lift, would you, Melvin?
Cover your mouth when you cough, kid.
Oh,
bye. Call me when you get settled.
It's so good. I love James L. Brooks movies. They always get you, and you try not to.
I couldn't have possibly asked for a better first director to work with. He was the coolest, sweetest man on the planet. And there you go. Cover your mouth when you cough, kid.
That's awesome.
That was his improvised line. That wasn't in the script.
Didn't he? I think you mentioned that he saved you at one point.
He did, yeah. There's a scene, where they're dropping us off in front of the hospital in the cab, and we were shooting that, and we were in between takes and resetting and whatever. And I was a little kid, and I saw, I don't know, my dad or the craft service table or something on the other side of the street that I wanted. And I went running across the street. And as I started going to run, I felt this hand just yank me back by my collar. And as I got yanked back, whoop, this
Oh my God.
taxi cab came screeching up right in front of me. And I looked back and it was Nicholson. Jack Nicholson was holding my collar. And he had just yanked me out of the way of this cab. I would have totally gotten hit by the cab. And
Wow.
and his big laugh, I've said it a million times, but when I looked up at him, he goes, "Don't die now, kid. We need you for the movie."
Oh man. It sounds like he was awesome to work with.
Yeah, he was great. He was very, very kind, very sweet. I mean, it wasn't like I was like palling around, I was a little kid, but not, not everybody was always, there's certain, I don't know.
Sure.
Certain actors aren't always cool with little kids and
or adults.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, he was just really. There's a really cool picture of us on the red carpet together at the premiere of As Good as It Gets, and that's only because he like kind of saw me kind of behind him through the crowd. He was like, "Hey, come here," and he brought me up for those. Like he grabbed me. He was always really, really sweet, super, super cool and nice to me. I've always wanted to work with him again. Yeah, he was always really, really awesome.
Did you have any idea who the people that you ended up working with, who they were before you started working with them? I'm sure your dad probably told you.
Of course, yeah. And I love movies as a kid. Yeah, I mean, I knew, I certainly not to the degree that I know and I love now. Yeah, I mean,
like The Shining.
Which is kind of cool because it's like I would have been more of a goober, I guess. But yeah, I almost think it's better to have worked with them and not have like really grasped the weight of, you know what I mean? Because they're just your coworker, you know what I mean?
Of course. And I'm sure that's how they would prefer to be treated anyway.
Sure, 100%. And when I was a kid, it was funny. I used to, because everybody gives gifts to each other at the end of a shoot. And, you're a little kid. What gift are you going to give, Jack Nicholson or Jameslbrooks? What gift are you going to give them that they don't have? You know what I mean? Like, so when I was a kid, I'd always draw pictures of everybody. I'd paint a picture of Jack Nicholson, I'd paint a picture of Jameslbrooks, and I'd give it to him at the end. And so I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people that have, paintings. Some I doubt they kept them, whatever. But that was always
they did
because it was like, what else are you gonna get, And not like a little doodle, like on a canvas, like I'd paint, I'd make paintings for each of them.
Is that something you continued? Like, are you an artist?
No, sadly, no, it's not. No.
But that's cool. You did it. I mean, that is a great idea. Because what would you get them?
Yeah, of course. Well, it was just something. Yeah.
So what did that do? Obviously, so the on-set experience sounds like it was amazing. Helen Hunt and James L. Brooks.
Yeah.
What did you find those days grueling, or were you like, this is just fun? I'm hanging out, and they want me to pretend.
Totally fun, pretend. Brooks was so great because he let me. Not improvise necessarily, but like I'd be playing around, between takes in the set of my bedroom, little kid's bedroom that they had set up to look like a little kid's bedroom, and I'd be playing with the toys and all the stuff, the props, and the prop people would be like, no, like hot set, and James L. Brooks would be like, no, stop, let him play, just let him play with it, and then I'm playing with the stuff, and if you look in the movie, at one point I come out during one scene and I'm wearing a fireman's hat. And the camera doesn't show it, but if they were to pan down, I'm also wearing werewolf slippers. And those were things that I just found in the room, like playing around with. And before that take got called, like I was playing with that stuff. And they were like, okay, Jesse, time to come to set. Take that stuff off. Okay, time to come to set. And Brooks was like, no, don't take it off. It's fine. Leave it.
Let him be a kid.
Yeah, it was like I came in wearing what I was wearing playing in the take before.
Which serves the project. I'm sure it serves the reality of it.
Yeah, 100%. He just let me be a kid, and yeah, I will point out that clip you played earlier. That first clip where me and Nicholson, and he says, you should answer somebody when they talk to you. I remember the day shooting that scene. They tried a million different lines and takes and variations and alternate versions of that scene. Tried it with me saying something to him, tried it with him saying more to me, tried it with her saying something, all kinds of stuff. And the only one that really sticks out that I really remember, and it actually is on, I found an old
DVD or something?
No, a one-line sheet, like an
okay.
old shooting schedule that actually had it on there as a retake, as an alternate thing, written down. I have it. It's on my Instagram somewhere. I ask him, "Are you my dad?"
Oh.
And when he's standing there looking at me, I go, "Are you my dad?" And that's when she goes, "No, okay, Melvin, get out of here." Yeah, and I remember that one sticking out as a particularly funny line. But yeah, we tried a whole bunch of different. James Albert, there was so much not improvisation, but just like he would let people try different things and tweak stuff. Like it was so loose and that the script went through so many different drafts during shooting. Like it changed so much.
That could be a nightmare, but it also sounds like a dream if there's that sort of flexibility.
Yeah, you got a good artist that knows what he's doing. Yeah, I mean, that the end product's going to be. Yeah, if you read the original draft of Old Friends compared to what the final version of As Good as It Gets is, two entirely different movies.
Okay. I remember when it was coming out, I'm like, it looks all right. But when it came out, I'm like, oh my God, this was great. I had no expectation and I loved it because of the kid. Otherwise it sucked.
And the dog.
Yeah. The dog. And the dog. So what did that, I actually had my first audition with James L. Brooks this past year. I didn't book it.
Cool.
Damn him. So talk to your friend, James.
Was he in the room?
Yeah, he was in the room.
Oh man, I'd give anything to talk to him again. Yeah, I remember auditioning for what? Not was it Something's Gotta Give? Is that the one he did?
Oh, I think so. I think that's right.
Meryl Streep or Diane Keaton. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to. Yeah, it's like, he gave me my shot. He gave me my first, and he was so cool. I went to his office so many times. He had a Simpsons arcade machine that I played in his office so many times, and like ADR, he would, he was the most, like, he bought me PlayStation games. Like, he was so nice and cool. And I remember begging him all the time to be on The Simpsons. I love The Simpsons. Simpsons. Even when I was 6, I was obsessed with The Simpsons. And I remember just begging him all the time to let me be a voice on The Simpsons. And he was like, "We don't hire kids. We don't let kids be voices on The Simpsons. I'm sorry."
Could you imagine how amazing that would be to have a gig on that? Because you can do it until you're an old man.
Oh, I remember begging him many times, multiple times, "Please let me be on The Simpsons."
Maybe it'll still happen. Yeah, that's amazing. So obviously, so this film went on, did it win the Best Picture? It went on to Oscars. I forget exactly.
Yeah, I think Nicholson won Best Actor, but I don't think it won Best Picture because that was Titanic's year. I think Titanic won.
Okay. Oh, it's so much better than Titanic.
Yeah.
So much better.
Yeah, that was Good Will Hunting's year too, I think. I mean, that was a big 97. 97 was a pretty packed year for the Oscars. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's the only year I guess I think I went the year after too. I think I went 98 also, but yeah, only time I've ever been.
What did my wife worked for this guy named Gil Cates who produced the Oscars. So I got to go a few times because of her, but I didn't earn it.
Yeah.
So this obviously was huge for you. And I guess you were at this point, you're like, you know what, maybe I'll continue doing this business. What did this do for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it kept me from quitting initially, which then that just quickly kind of snowballed. The second movie I ever did right after As Good as It Gets, and they actually were shooting at the same time. We shot them at the same time. Was The Gingerbread Man, just kind of largely, forgotten. It was a Grisham adaptation, but it was a Robert Altman movie. So I got to work with, go from James L. Brooks to Robert Altman.
I saw it at the theater.
There you go. My first 2 directors. And that's a pretty stacked cast, too. Robert Downey Jr., Kenneth Branagh, Tom Berenger, Robert Duvall, Emmett Davids, Famke Janssen. Like, there's a ton of...
Was your dad in that, too?
My dad did have a very small part in that, yeah, which, they gave him after I got the part. They were like, "Oh,
that's awesome.
Him in, too." Yeah. My dad, that's the only time him and I have ever shared the screen, technically.
It sounds like your parents are awesome, though. It sounds like they've been so supportive and not pushy.
Yeah, it's always been, there's the door, you can stop whenever you want. And I never lived in LA, like, growing up. I lived in Santa Barbara, like Carpinteria, small town. Like, I went to normal school. I always had normal friends. Like, I went to auditions a couple times a week, but it was always like a job, Like, I always think myself, I'm a blue collar actor. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not famous. People don't know who I am. I've done a lot of stuff. That's great. I work, but it's like, it's a job. You're a blue collar. You go, you punch a clock, you do your job, you come home, and you go back to your normal life. You know what I mean?
I think that's the dream. It's the dream. You've worked at the highest levels. I know, obviously, we all want a bazillion dollars to not be uncomfortable, but
yeah. I mean, I think the dream is on it. Like, I mean, for me at least, the dream is to not have to keep proving yourself. You know what I mean? Keep doing auditions, keep having it. You know, it's just give me the respect. You know, that respect that I know what I'm doing, and that if you want me on this job, I'll do my absolute best for you, and I'll make it better for you. But I'm not. You know, that's I guess the you know, yeah. But you know. Just to work is the dream. That's all. Whatever, whether you're famous or not famous or whatever, just getting work, not having to work for work.
Exactly.
Is the dream, I guess.
And wait for work.
Just get steady work. Just to work. Just give me the job. Just let me work. That's all I want to do. Anytime anybody asks me, because you know these days there's gaps between jobs and stuff. So anytime anybody asks, you know, are you still acting? Are you still acting? And the answer is always when they let me.
Yeah.
When they let me, sure. Yeah.
It can be soul sucking at times. You're like, I am an actor when there's an opportunity, especially post strike.
Yeah,
it's been awful.
Self taping and everything. Yeah, it's tricky.
So let's talk about that. I mean, I want to talk more also about the stuff that followed, As Good as It Gets. But what do you think about self taping?
I hate it so much.
Why? I love it.
Do you?
I do. I really do. But I didn't start young like you did. So I think you appreciate what it brought you with natural energy and people in the room. And
yeah, for me, I mean, well, I guess I'll preface it by saying, like, I hate auditioning. Like, it's not like I love auditioning.
Yeah.
Everybody hates auditioning. Auditioning sucks.
But
auditioning was my job for 30 years, you know?
Mm-hmm.
For 30 years, my job was to go in the room and do this thing that we do.
Yeah.
And part of it was bringing in your energy, and part of it was talking to them a little bit, and part of it was, you know, joking around or finding the right moment or all these kinds of things. There are so many moments over the years in rooms where certain things happened that either pushed them the right direction or wrong direction.
Yeah.
A Butterfly Effect, for example, I auditioned for a different character. I auditioned for the young Ashton Kutcher character, but when I came in, they looked at me and they were like, "Oh, you know what? You look more like this other guy that we have hired as the older version of this character. So here, will you take these sides and go out in the room and read these for 5 minutes and come back in?" I love when that happens. And see, that can't happen on tape, right?
True.
This has happened to me a handful of times in my career where I'll come in for one role, they realize during the audition that I'm better for another role. They give me this set of sides, say, prepare them for 5 minutes and come back in. I feel like a lot of actors would find that to be a nightmare because all of a sudden, I don't have time to prepare to it. I thrive on that because to me,
so still you love that.
Oh no, I love that because
if that happened, yeah.
If those situations I love because they know you don't have a whole lot of time to prepare, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at memorizing stuff really fast, or at least getting the gist of a scene pretty quick, like what the beats are and what I'm supposed to do. At least faking that I've memorized it, like memorizing this. I would say it's more important to memorize the scene than the lines, right? Like if I get those beats, get the idea across. So yeah, Butterfly Effect for Tommy, for that character that was so.
I have a clip.
Violent and brutal. Yeah, we'll get to that. But I'm just saying I wouldn't have gotten that part if it was on tape the way we do today. I do not think I would have gotten that part because they wouldn't have been able to talk to me and to get a sense of me and then send me out. And I read those sides for a few minutes with my dad and came back in. And they were rolling on the floor laughing because, like, fuck you. It was such a just like, and I had that in me and like through my dad, whatever, like that kind of energy and whatever, like, but it wouldn't have happened on self-tape. I promise. There's something about meeting people and getting to know them. And Amityville Horror, same thing. I worked with Michael Bay before. Pearl Harbor, same thing. Actually, the first time I can think of so many audition scenarios that I would not have gotten the part if it was self-tape, because they're not getting the totality of you. You know what I mean? They're not getting all of who you are. They're not getting your energy. You have to make one choice and send it in. There's no room for them to be like, that was good, and I really like what you do.
Try this
character. Yeah, I want to see this instead, and that can totally make the difference.
Sure.
I hate self-taping so much because it's not what we do. To me, it feels like creating content, and it feels like I'm stupid. And it's like I'm not a content creator. I'm not making you a video. I act with other people. You're missing the other half of the scene. You know what I mean? In an audition, you're not reading usually with the casting director, right? You're usually reading with the reader so that they can watch you interact with another person.
You're reading with non-actors usually.
Yeah, when you're watching you do the video, yeah, you're reading with another person, but it's not. I don't know. That's the artistry side of the self-taping, and why I hate it. And the more practical industry side of why I hate it is it's a ton of stuff that's not our job. You know, I have to now worry about audio and lighting and finding a reader and getting it all edited and all these things that are not my job, don't have anything to do with my ability as an actor, and yet can affect how the casting director might see my tape. The other thing is, when I was going in person, you at least knew you were being seen. You knew that of however many people they could see, you were one of them. Yeah. You were being seen. You could confirm that because you were in the damn room.
And they're not stopping it at 6 seconds. Okay.
Exactly. I'm sending in a tape. I don't know if they're watching the whole tape. I don't know if they're even seeing the tape at all. I don't know how many thousands of tapes they're getting compared to how many people they would have been able to see in person. So, and you get no feedback. Even if they don't give you feedback, you know, even if you went on an in-person audition and then you went home and they didn't give you feedback on how the audition went, which is pretty common, you at least in the room got to read their reaction to your work. You know what I mean? You
misread that reaction often.
At least got that. Yes, sure, absolutely. Which can I can't tell you. There's at least 2 or 3 roles that I've booked where I walked out of the audition room going, "Oh, I tanked that."
Same here. Those are the ones you book, or that I book.
Exactly, 100%. So, there's just all the magic's gone. There's just nothing. Like I don't understand why. Like I don't get why everything else has come back after COVID, and why are we still doing the self-tapes? I hate it so much. Like,
so are you a person that when they say they hate something, they actually love it? So you love self-taping?
No, I really hate it.
Okay, no, that's clarify for me why people hate it, because I love it because it takes all the logistics of trying to get to the audition and the traffic, the train, the rain, whatever it is.
I do like being able to do it from wherever I am. I mean, I live in Vancouver. Yeah, I mean, I've been able to move around a lot these last few years, which I wouldn't have been able to do before. I would have had to have stayed in LA.
Yeah.
However, there's also kind of a, you know, you're there, you're not. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
That said a lot, even in that pause.
you always could self-tape theoretically. You know what I mean? Even before this was a normal thing. If I was out of town working on something else, I could always send in a self-tape. Sure. But it was more either the last resort or it wasn't ever preferable to actually going in and meeting them. So I don't understand why now it's the norm. It's like self-tape was always kind of a fun treat. It was like, oh, cool. I get to kind of control my performance, and I can kind of like, it was always kind of a weird kind of fun thing to send in. You know, it's funny. I never booked anything off self-tapes in my career before this has become a thing. You know, I sent in a lot of self-tapes over the years when I was out of town and this, that, or whatever. I don't think I ever booked something on self-tape.
Well, I think maybe before it, that, like you said, self-taping was sort of a last resort, and it didn't get the attention because they couldn't work with you.
Right, but I also just think, period. Maybe some people maybe it's just not my thing. Like I think part of I have to, just the energy in the room, whatever. Maybe I'm just not built for self-tapes. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, whatever.
No, but, sure.
I never liked it. There's something about the personal human connection. Yeah. Like even now, like I'd rather be talking to you in person than over this.
Come on over.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like I thrive more on person-to-person connections than having some sort of very, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird to me.
Yeah. No, I respect that. All right, I'm coming over. Be there in 3 days.
One thing I remember, a great acting coach of mine always used to say, you should be able to leave the room. You should be able to leave the audition room and tell me what color the reader's eyes were. And I can tell you what color the reader I was reading with's eyes were for the self-tape. You know what I mean? But something about going into each room, it's like it's the same reader I always, or finding your own reader, or whatever. But going into each new room. And even if it was somebody new that you'd never met, kind of finding that connection with them and finding that kind of eye contact. And even if they're a bad reader, you know what I mean? Sometimes you get good readers, sometimes you get bad readers. Sure. If you get a bad reader, sometimes you can let that almost kind of work for you. Maybe you get,
Makes you look better.
There's just there's so much texture and magic that happens in the room that
true. There's an energy. There's an energy in the room.
Is a void. Like I don't know. It's so hard to capture some kind of like magic like that on a random tape that you're just shooting through the void. Again, no feedback to me, and no feedback, and you don't know if they saw your tape. So to me, it just feels like shouting into a void and getting nothing in response. I can't stand it. I can't wait till hopefully someday we all get back in the room because it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I know some people like it. Teaching acting, it's hard for me doing that. Like it makes it feel like I don't have as much to share because these, if somebody is now wanting to become an actor right now, we know with self-tapes, they don't, they have no concept of in-person auditions. So a lot of my advice goes out the window because my advice is all built around in-person auditions and personal connections.
So now you said mentioning teaching, so you are teaching now acting.
I am, yeah. I taught acting in Vancouver for a number of years before I recently moved back to California. And so now I'm teaching acting and film studies and screenwriting here in
Are they high schoolers? What?
Yeah, high school age, yeah.
Okay. And how is that? I mean, how are up and coming actors? Like you said, they know self-taping. Are a lot of them, are they currently working actors, or they're just trying to get into it, kind of, testing the waters? What is that experience like?
Yeah. When I was coaching and teaching in Vancouver, that was a few years ago, kind of more directly post-pandemic. That was with, aspiring actors, local working actors that were, kind of paying to take the class. Right now what I'm doing is more of like, it's like high schooler class type thing. It's like an elective for them. So these students don't necessarily.
It's their fun class.
Right. They don't necessarily want to be professional actors. So, we're just kind of playing around. But when I am coaching the serious actors, the professional actors, like in Vancouver and such, and I still do like online classes with some of them occasionally. It does get hard because I really, it's a different landscape. It's a completely different world, it feels like, than what I did for 30 years, what I was used to. All the casting directors I knew and all the just kind of roots, just everything.
I don't know. I mean, casting directors don't like it either. As far as I've heard, that they don't like.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things. I'm honestly, well, I mean, to me, it seems like it's made their job easier, but I mean, who knows? I don't know. Maybe.
I've heard, because I have this little actor group. We work online together, and we bring in casting directors to work with us.
Yeah.
All of them have said it is not the same, not in the room. They all miss it.
Well, then I don't understand the studios, whatever, like, what do we have to do to change it?
I wonder if it is because there are fewer jobs.
It can't just be renting office space. You know what I mean? Or
I think they gave them up. A lot of them don't have the offices anymore.
Right. So I just don't get it also, well, I mean, it's not surprising to me, especially just because it just seems it's across the board. It's every form of art, music, TV, art, but everything, period, every industry, nothing's particularly good anymore because quality isn't as much of a concern anymore. It's more about, how much can we make for the shareholders and how much, it's everything's
content, like you were saying.
It just sucks now, so so it's not surprising that
it's hard to find the gems. They're out there.
Well, what I'm saying is going back to in-person auditioning would certainly yield, I feel like, better results in terms of artistic quality, but I don't feel like that's the priority of the industry right now. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're right.
Output and debit, so
clicks.
It's difficult. It's hard. Yeah, artistry is difficult. It's valued less, I feel like, than it ever has been, and it's difficult.
Last week I had a actor on who he lives in Belgium, and the government supports working actors there. Like they support you between jobs, and then when you get a big role, you can prepare for it without the distraction of, oh my God, how am I going to pay this and that? And it's just the support for the arts is just, what a dream.
Yeah,
we don't have here.
Yeah, we shot shot in Belgium for 2 months when I was like 9, 10 years old. Shot Dog of Flanders.
Oh yeah, I saw that in your. That's so
John
cool.
Voight, yes, John Voight, and
There'll be a story coming up about him, maybe.
The Lad, yeah.
I lived there for 6 years. My wife is Belgian,
I
so
think I saw that. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we were in Brussels, Blankenberg, Ghent,
I love Ghent.
all over the place. Yeah, Bruges. We were
What a dream!
all over the whole country. Yeah, it was great.
I want to just for 1 second. I want to mention your students that are in the high school. You said they're not necessarily for them. It's sort of an elective class, of the fun class. I have no doubt though that you are planting that seed in someone that didn't know they wanted to be an actor, and they're like, wow, I didn't know I had that in me. So I'm sure there's a spark that you're planting in a lot of these people. So bravo to you for that. So I want to go back to, okay, so As Good as It Gets happens. And what does that do for you? Where do you go from there next? Not necessarily in line, but what did that do for you? Did you feel that pushed you into this thing? They're like, oh my God.
It just kind of started the ball rolling. After that, there wasn't really a point where I wasn't working for the next few years. Like we did Gingerbread Man right after that. Robert Altman, that was in Savannah, Georgia.
Didn't you have an Altman story?
Yeah, Altman was great.
You don't have to tell it.
yeah, no. I mean, he would often emerge from his trailer in a big cloud of smoke. He was very.
Was there like a smoke leak in his trailer?
Yeah, no, he was he would. I remember me and Mae Whitman, she played my sister in that, and we would come running up to him after a take, and how was it? Were we good? Were we, you're a little kid, you want validation. How was it? How was it? Is that what And I remember Altman looking at us going, "You were perfectly adequate."
You're like, thanks.
Yeah, perfectly adequate. I mean, what do you expect, little kids? Whatever. Yeah,
that's cool. I mean,
he was great. Yeah,
what
I
a
talked
legend.
one time, and my dad made me go and apologize. I didn't talk back.
You talked back to him? Is that what you said?
We just we'd done a bunch of takes, and he was like, "All right, this is the last take, I promise." And I was 6 years old, 7 years old. I was like, "It better be." And
wow.
From the thing, and my dad just being like, "What is wrong with you? Why would you say that? Go and apologize to him immediately."
Did he react to it? Was Altman like?
I remember going up to him and saying, "I'm so sorry." No, he kind of chuckled when it happened, but then when I went up to him and apologized, I was like, "I'm really, really sorry. I didn't mean it's okay. It's we've all had it's fine.
He had just been smoking. He's like, hey, whatever, man.
Yeah, he was great.
You were in every big movie of the late 90s and early 2000s, like everything that that was promoted big time, like this one. Do you mind if I show a little clip? Is that cool?
Carrot, thank you.
She hates chocolates. It's really weird.
True?
Yes, it's very sweet of you. Jason.
Excuse me.
Thank you. That's what I really wanted.
Was that a cool experience working with those?
Yeah, it was great. Robin Wright Penn was great as a mom. I was a huge Princess Bride fan at the time, so it was really exciting to get to
that's cool.
Buttercup. I remember my little sister, she's 5 years younger than me. I got to bring her to set and introduce her to Buttercup, and she was really excited. I got to.
So you were at that point where you started to recognize people you were working with and appreciate.
Yeah, I was 9. I think Mr. Bell was 9 or 10. And she was married to Sean Penn at the time, so he would be on set fairly often, and their kids were about my age, Dylan and Hopper, and we would hang out a lot. I'd go swim at their pool. They were staying at the Four Seasons. We were staying at a different hotel.
Not the Four Seasons. All right.
Yeah. And swimming with with the kids, and we'd go to Johnny Rockets. Sean Penn took us to Johnny Rockets. I remember the whole staff trying to bug him, and he was really cool about it. Gave him all autographs, and that was a good time. And Costner was great. He was super goofy, very much like a goofy. He wanted to goof around me as a little kid. And at one point we were kind of palling around and goofing, and he threw me down on the couch and sat on my head and farted. So I got a
Oh,
big
that's a beautiful memory.
earful of essence of Costner.
Wow. You can smell it today.
Right. He was great. Paul Newman was in that too, which was really cool. I got to meet him at the table read.
Wow. Legend.
I got to. My dad told me to go up and tell him how much my dad liked HUD, the movie HUD.
You do it? You're like, my dad likes HUD.
Yeah.
How cool for your dad, though, too, because I'm sure these are all people he really was aware of, especially wanting to be an actor.
Yeah. Well, and my dad's kind of shy. He didn't ever go up and talk to him, really. He just sent me to go do it.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, because that could, if you were the opposite way, it could be a little much. But
Sure. That was a good one. That was a fun one. Luis Mandoki, who I think is a really well-known director, a Spanish director.
Okay. Yeah, I typed up that name on that clip, but I was like, I know that name. But you also went on to work with Ray Liotta in Blow, and I guess Johnny Depp. Do you mind if I show a clip? Or are you gonna? And you can tell me to stop if you're like, enough of me.
No.
Here goes.
It'll work out. It always does. I'll find another job. Look, George, this is the way it goes. Sometimes you're flush, and sometimes you're bust. And when you're up, it's never as good as it seems. And when you're down, you never think you're going to be up again. But life goes on. Remember that. Money isn't real, George. Doesn't matter. It only seems like it does.
I talked to Mom.
Yeah.
How was he to work with?
Ray was fantastic. Incredibly warm, kind, fun, just super, super sweet guy. It was always really, really, really satisfying to make him laugh. He'd say something that would make him laugh, like between takes, or whatever, because you get that great little, that thin lipped laugh that he had.
I've seen it in the movies.
You get that. There's something really, really satisfying about making him laugh, because he had such a funny laugh. He was great. He was super sweet. He would come over and sit with me and eat with me at lunch. You know what I mean? Like he was just really, really cool.
That's cool. It's nice to hear stories like that about, people that we've all been watching.
Yeah. I've got a couple of friends that have either worked with him or run into him over the years, and they all say that he was just super, super nice and warm and cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, really, it was great. That's a lot of good. Johnny Depp was great too. I only ever, he was in my final audition. And he had, gold teeth, and I remember him smelling like cigarettes and long hair, and him being cool. And I only met him a couple other times, on set here and there, because we weren't,
you were the same person,
right? We weren't shooting at the same time. But I do remember him. He came to set one day when it was like one of the people in the production office's birthday. Like he didn't have to be there, and he just showed up like for the cake and everything to like wish her happy birthday. He was really cool. Yeah, he was really, really, same deal. He was very sweet, very personable.
It's so nice to hear that these people were so decent, and that your experiences, because so many of us actors out there, like I didn't think of being an actor at the time I first saw you in As Good as It Gets. I wanted to make movies and not be in them.
Yeah.
And so being an actor, a lot of us dream to get to the point where you started. And so it's so interesting to hear your experiences. And it's like, where I would be interested to know where does one want to go? Because you've worked with the best directors, the best actors. What is your dream? What is your dream? Like, obviously you said the working actor thing. I get that. Working regularly with no stress about the finances or whatever. What would be your dream thing? I've seen you produced as well. So is that it?
Whatever they'll let me do, Ian.
Well, but you produce, so you've sort of helped make things for yourself as well.
Of course. Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Everything takes a lot of money and getting backers and all that fun stuff. But
yeah, that can kind of be I don't know if double-edged sword is quite the right term, but what you said about to start where people dream to get to, that's fantastic, that's great, but at the same time, it's also that poses the risk of like, you peaked when you were 12 years old. Do you know what I mean?
And I certainly don't want to suggest that either.
I understand, but it's all,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. It's hard to, think about, even if you're the most, okay, let's say if you're Skeet Ulrich, for example.
Yeah.
He was in Scream and As Good as It Gets, right?
He was an extra in Weekend at Bernie's, I just noticed.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like, so I'm sure he'd been working for a while, and to get, okay, and I'm the Jameslbrooks, and he was kind of for, just saying, nothing ever, no matter how big you are, nothing ever quite lasts, you know what I mean?
No.
No career, you know what I mean? Unless you're
This business eats them up and spits them out.
Right. So what I'm saying is, to be eaten up and spit out so young is a little bit harder than, what I'm saying? Like, that can be, now all of a sudden for the rest. So basically, I worked steadily, but like I said, I'm blue collar. I wasn't Jonathan Lipnicki or Haley Joel Osment. You know what I mean? I wasn't a name.
Sure.
Nobody knew who I was. So when I become a teenager, they don't hire teenagers to play teenagers, right?
Yeah.
So for years, from 14 to 19, you're going on auditions that you're not going to book, because at the bottom of every appointment slip it says only submit if you're 18 or an emancipated minor. I was not an emancipated minor. I didn't want to emancipate myself just to get work.
Yeah.
So for years, they're not going to hire you because you're a teenager. Even though they're casting a teenager, they're not going to hire a teenager.
Did you feel you were wasting your time then at that point? Or were you like, I can't step out of it?
The logic is always that you're supposed to stay in front of the eyes of the casting directors, and you know what I mean. Yeah. As long as even if they can't cast you for this, they might be something else, and you know what I mean.
Sure.
So for all these years, you just keep going on these auditions that you're not getting. Maybe you book something here and there and whatever, but it's child actor, young adult actor. There's teen actors really tricky. You know what I mean? There's not really as much. The only teen actors are teen actors that were famous as children. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of teenage actors. There's young adult actors that play teenagers and get.
But looking at your career, you bridged. If there was a gap, which I didn't notice looking at your career, you've done a ton of TV. I have movie clips. There's a ton of TV in there.
Yeah, it's just you just got to keep grinding. That's and that's so when it's a dream. The dream is to get the fucking boulder up the hill. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I've been Sisyphusing my way for so many years. You roll it, then it goes back down, and you keep going.
Sure.
Pandemic happens, this happens, that happens. You get work, you still get work. The only real gap where I've stopped getting work has been this with the self-tape thing. I've gotten very little, if any, work with self-taping, and I don't, it might perhaps it's something I'm doing wrong, something I'm with my tapes, whatever. But it's like I said, it's something I knew how to audition for 30 years, and now all of a sudden it changed the game, and I don't know how to do this new game, or at least I haven't figured it out yet, or I'm still figuring it out, whatever. But it's tricky. It's strange.
We also age into different categories, which obviously you said, going from a kid into a teen into a young adult. And for me, I know, and this isn't about me, but turning like early 40s, things were kind of slow, but then late 40s. And again, I've never worked at the level you have. And then late 40s into around this time, I've worked more than I have, because I think I've turned into this older man that they see me as. Maybe I look smart. I'm not, but
that's almost something I look for. I'm like, well, yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, maybe I'll,
You will. You're going to age into a different place.
Exactly. I'm like, maybe my 30s just aren't my, maybe it's my 20s and my 40s, but I guess my 30s, maybe I'm meant to just kind of figure my stuff out.
Yeah, my late 30s, early 40s were like, okay. Occasionally they'll see me for something.
Who knows?
And I don't want to, and obviously there's a couple more clips I want to show, if you don't mind, of when the younger ones, because there's some stories behind them, and also you beat up one of my favorite actors of all time. Do you know who that is?
I'm trying to think of who I've beaten up.
You beat up William Fichtner.
Oh, yeah. Bill Fichtner. He's great. Yeah.
I'm going to show that.
Yeah.
And you flew a plane.
Come on. Get on back home now. Look, you got work to do. Come on. Get on home.
You let him alone! Daddy, no! I will bust you open, you dirty German!
What you call me? I fought the Germans in France.
And I fought them in the trenches. And I pray to God no one ever has to see the things that I saw.
You're my best friend. Daddy, wait! Daddy, wait!
So you're young Ben Affleck there, is that correct?
That's right.
You got to beat up William Fichtner.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Bill Fichtner, man. Yeah, he was great. He was really, really awesome. Michael Bay worked with him a lot, eh?
Oh, did he? I don't know.
Pretty sure. I think he was. I'm pretty sure he was in Armageddon.
Whatever.
He's in my Perfect Storm. I don't know if that was Michael Bay or not, but he was. Yeah, I don't know. Bill Fichtner's. I think he's in Transformers too. I think Michael Bay likes to use him a lot.
Not a bad director to.
Yeah, no, I love him. He's one of those actors. Do you ever see that documentary? That guy who was in that thing.
Yes.
He's one of those actors, like Chris McDonald, or one of those actors where you're like, I've seen him in a million things, but I don't know what his name is.
Again, that's the dream career. It's like I want to work a lot, but I don't want to be like famous. But I want to live a life. Yeah,
totally.
Was Bay cool as a director?
Henry Thomas from E.T. I feel like he's kind of got that going pretty well because he's in a ton of stuff, but I don't think walking down the street people would really recognize who he was.
Well, you guys, I wanted to ask you about him because I feel that you two had a very similar trajectory. You both started in like the biggest movies of their time and have gone on and worked pretty regularly in a lot of TV and indie film. And I'll jump ahead. I will come back to. Do you mind if I keep you a little bit longer? Is that cool?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
I'm going to jump into The Last Ride.
There's no way we're going to make it to Bristol. I don't even think we'll make Knoxville the way it's snowing.
What the hell time is it?
10.
Just get to Chattanooga. I know a hotel there.
Sir, that's barely 100 miles we're making. It's going to be hard to catch up tomorrow, especially in this.
So, Bone, are you being paid to think or drive? Answer me.
Drive. I gotta find us a place to eat. You ever been here before? Come on, Luke, time to wake up. Mr. O'Keefe's waiting for us in Canton. He's matter in health to both of us already. Luke. Hey, Mr. Wells.
That is really, really beautiful work.
I think it was our first day of shooting.
You're kidding? I hate it when they do that.
I don't know if it was the first day, but it was before I met Henry, which is awful. It's good.
You got to nap during your most emotional work. That's beautiful, though. That was really, I forget what country singer that's about. I don't know my country singer.
Yeah, Hank Williams.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. Yeah, Henry and I got to be really close. He's a good buddy of mine, good, mentor type figure. Because like you said, similar type career. Both got started around the same age. He gets it. The trenches. But also again, kind of the the sort of blue collar side of it, where you're not ever really somebody recognizable. You're just, but you work but you work.
Yeah. Which again, I think sounds really appealing. I understand.
It is, as long as you get the work. The problem is when you're not getting the work. That's the tricky part.
And for everybody at every level, there's those peaks and valleys, and they suck when you're in them. But when you come out of them, it's what makes those peaks so much better.
Like Ray Liotta, honestly, that's that quote that he says to me earlier in that clip that's been like a huge motto for me over the years, time and time again, or whatever. Sometimes you're flush, sometimes you're bust. when you're up, it never seems like you'd be down again.
Yeah.
When you're down, it never seems like you'd be up again, but life goes on. Yeah. What is it? Yeah. When you're down, it's hard to remember what it felt like to be up. Yeah, it's a good bit of advice.
I think it's so true. And it's, for me, and I've said this before, it's what makes this business so exciting is that you don't know what's around the corner. And sometimes you're like, it can't get worse. Sometimes it can, but I think it can certainly always get better. And who knows when that'll be, but it does.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You're not buying it.
Well, I think it could always get better, but it could always also get worse. But yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a cynic at this point. This many years, they blow a lot of smoke up your ass in this business, and I always joke I should have ass cancer by now from all the smoke blowing up my ass.
You played a jerk quite a bit, and you talked about how you were in the room for Butterfly Effect, and then you got this role that they didn't see you as. And what scares me is why did they choose you for this?
Yeah.
Crackheads! What are you doing with my dog?
Look what you made me do!
Why did they think you would be good at burning a dog?
I don't know. I thought you were going to show the movie theater beat up clip. You got that one?
Stop it! Stop hitting him! What's wrong with you? What do you do?
That one's that's always the one that people bring up. Yeah, we're burning the dog. When I was a kid, yeah, they used to I had friends that would be like, "This is Jesse. He burnt a dog," without giving any context. Yeah, that was, talking earlier about how, that it's easy to act as a kid and there's not a lot of like pressure or stakes or not even that, but even just like technique or like thinking about it much, because every role I'd played pretty much until that point was myself. You know what I mean? There wasn't anything that much different from any character I'd ever played at that point.
This kid is not you.
Right. All of a sudden, play this person that was violent and awful, and so that was the first time I got to like play, or I knew that I couldn't do it, like I couldn't be truthful unless it made sense for me, unless I could kind of understand who he was and have to make it me, like it was for the other role. You know what I mean? Like,
did you go method?
No, but even though this character wasn't me, like it was just figuring out why was he the way he was, justifying it, making it make sense for me. His abusive father, and that the sister Kaylee, the sister, is the only thing that meant anything to me. That was the only person that was ever there for me. And here's this friend trying to take her away from me, and it's and getting into that. That's the finding your dials and turning them up and down and figuring out like what would it take for me to be that guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm not that person at all, but I could be if I did this, and this. If I tweaked my dials this way and figured out, you know what I mean, and made it make sense for me this way, then I could totally be this person. Were
you in training? Did you, because you kind of fell into acting essentially, did you then at that point get some more training to realize these dials and stuff like that? Or were you like,
yeah. I mean, I worked with coaches over the year, Andrew McGarrian a lot when I was a kid. I'd worked with coaches and stuff, never super consistently. Because honestly, as a kid, I feel like so much of it goes kind of one ear and out the other. Like I remember taking a lot of like any acting class I was in as a kid, none of it really. I liked the part where we played with koosh balls. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like when they were talking to me and telling me things, you didn't really pay attention, like technique and whatever. Dials. I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff. And I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff that specifically at, 13 on Butterfly Effect necessarily. It was just, I just knew that I couldn't tell the truth with this dude unless it made sense for me. And it was kind of one of the only roles where I'd gotten to work with another little, like kind of an ensemble, with the other three kids, like where you're all kind of playing off each other and getting to talk, outside of work, like about your characters together and figuring out how they all fit in. and with the other versions of those characters, because we were the 13-year-old versions, then there was the 7-year-old versions and the 20-year-old versions, and we all got together for rehearsal like before shooting, so that we all kind of got a sense of who we were and mannerisms, and we would read, like, for example, we'd read a scene like that where we were all 13, but we read it with like me and Ashton Kutcher and one of the 7-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like we'd switch it all up. You know what I mean? So that we would all kind of get a sense of how we were all reading with each other.
So cool.
Yeah, like we're like, so that we kind of understood. So we all kept kind of the same consistency for our characters throughout our ages, and got a sense of how we would relate to each other.
Yeah.
And Ashton Kutcher actually gave me a bunch of good advice. Like, he was great. I could tell that he thought people weren't going to take this role of his seriously and we're going to make fun. You know what I mean? Which, you know, that's what happened. Like,
yeah,
he was Kelso at the time. You know, it was hard for people to take him seriously, but he's a good actor, and he took it really seriously. And he gave me, like, when we were doing that crossed up rehearsal stuff, we were rehearsing a scene that eventually ended up getting cut, but like he gave me this advice. Like, I push him up against the wall at one point, and I'm threatening him before we go into the movie theater, and I give him a little shove when we go in. And when we were doing it, he told me, he's like, give him a smack on his face before you go in. Give him a good little smack on his face. And I did, and it worked so well. And it's like he would come in with cool things, and everybody fed each other different things, and that was really cool.
That's cool that I assume the director kind of fostered that atmosphere where you all got to work together like that.
Yeah, directors. It was Eric Bress and Jamikai Gruber that had co-written Final Destination 2. That was their movie. Like, and they were great. They were really, really cool as directors. I think that's the only time I've ever worked with 2 directors at once. I've done it one other time. Wasn't as successful. That was. But
they were a good team. They meshed well.
They complemented each other perfectly. Like, they each had their strengths and played to them, and yeah, it worked really well. They were great.
I was wondering about that. I'm like, was that because someone had to take someone's place, or but that's not the case?
No, yeah, they were just a duo. They were just a writing partnership, and they'd ripped the script together, and they did great. Yeah, like I said, I think it's the only time I've worked with 2 directors once before, and that didn't work so well because it was an indie movie and they hadn't
found those lines yet.
Yeah, they hadn't figured out who's doing what. But these 2, they worked together really well, and each kind of knew which actors they worked with better, and each kind of knew which stuff it was great. It worked really well.
I'm going to play one more kid one, and then I'm going to start winding down so I don't keep you until 7 p.m. your time.
Told you guys, I don't need a babysitter. I'm old enough.
Baby.
No.
I know you can handle it.
I'm not letting her watch us. She's not coming in. I won't let her. I won't. I'm Billy.
You sure you don't want a babysitter?
Kind of freaky being back here.
I'm Billy.
Yeah, I got you the first time.
Was that method?
She was hot. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, second time. That was what Michael Bay is a producer. He directed Pearl Harbor.
You're kind of edgy in this one again. No,
I mean, yeah, it's funny. I was 15. I was a little chubby.
Whatever.
Yeah, that was a fun. That was that was an interesting one.
That's going to segue me to the kiss and tell. Now, can you share with us what you meant by slap and snub?
Yeah. Yeah, we were shooting a scene in Amityville Horror where Ryan Reynolds' character is chopping wood, and I'm holding the wood, and I'm upset about it. He's kind of getting in my face, and he's bullying me, and he slapped me at one point in the middle of the scene.
Like hard?
No, just like whatever. Yeah, and it was, I'm 50.
Yeah.
It's gotten a little bit blown out of proportion, whatever, because he slapped a kid, but I wasn't a kid. I was 15.
We're friends. We're having fun, right? Put your hands up.
I feel like, do you feel like, you kind of give folks a heads up sometimes,
Sure, especially with a kid. I mean, 15's a kid.
Yeah, and just be like, hey, is it cool if I'm gonna give you a little slap this time? Is it cool? You know what I mean? Like, can I, kind of run it? But I mean, sometimes like I've been in scenes like, I remember doing a scene one time a couple years ago, like, and if I spit on this person at this point, it'll be really great, you know. But I ran it by him for, you know what I mean, like just kind of, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, just you know, I'm gonna spit on you this take. That's cool, right? Is that okay? I'm gonna you know, which it just kind of just a heads up. You know what I mean? I'm gonna slap you, just so you know what I mean. Yeah, especially as an adult to a kid, whatever. Yeah, and I get it though. At the same time, too, isn't it? You know, the surprise. I
get excuses for him.
I don't know. Yeah, it was just kind of, you know, it'd be nice.
Did it break the scene? Like at the moment you're like, whoa.
They used the take. They used it. We didn't do 2 takes of it, and they used it in the movie. He slaps me in the movie. Yeah, it was the take they used. That's why I was, you know, it was like whatever reaction I had, you can see it was fine. You know, I didn't break character. Like it was fine.
Do you think it's something the director geared him towards?
No. I knew the director. No, that's Andrew. Yeah. No, it was just Ryan did something in the moment, and that's, you know, that happens, whatever. But and he was apologetic afterwards. It's not like it's not like it was, you know, he felt bad about it and everything. It wasn't I mean, you know, it's most likely that he didn't plan it. You know what I mean? That it just happened spontaneously in the scene. So it wasn't like he could have told me ahead of time.
And maybe a dad would have done that, and his character was starting to go a little cuckoo in that film.
And you know, I don't think he would have done it if he didn't think I could have handled it. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. It was fine. Like, yeah, but it's just interesting thing. There's not been too many rub the wrong way moments, but that was, I guess, one of the we were just like, all right.
My guest last week, his story is pretty much identical, but it happened to him as an adult. This woman that he was in a scene with slapped him right in the ear. Everything like went silent when it happened, and he ran off set. He's like, "What was that?" And so it's like you say, it doesn't hurt to communicate. It is acting.
And actually, you know what? Here, I got one really good one here, really quick one here for you. Felicity, remember the show Felicity?
Yes, which you were on.
I did an episode of the show Felicity, and we're doing this scene, and I'm probably like 11 or 12, you know, I'm a kid, and we're doing this scene. I don't even remember what the context or the story of the episode was. I don't remember anything really about that shoot. I just remember we were shooting a scene in a cafe on a soundstage, you know, made to look like a cafe, and I'm across from Scott Speedman, and we're doing this scene, and we're talking.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the scene, from behind me, from my seat, this big fart. I didn't fart. Set. Everybody starts laughing. Scott Speedman starts laughing.
It's not me.
Across the table from me, and everybody's laughing at me, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell has happened. Scott Speedman, I guess, does this to people. He works with the sound guy and has the sound guy when he's micing you up. He has the sound guy put a fart pack next to your
that's mean.
Your butt, yeah. Yeah, it was mean. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where it's
Did you like turn red? You're like, I didn't.
You know, yeah. If you were to like, I was a kid, like that just embarrassed the hell out of me. Like,
sure.
Never been on. Like now, the entire set is laughing at me. The stars laughing at me and pointing in my face. Like. Okay.
No,
good joke, dude, good joke. Like, I don't know, it just wasn't
at your expense.
It felt very nasty. It didn't feel like a fun, you know, chummy joke. Like,
if it's like someone that say they work with every day, but you're like a guest actor.
But everybody knows, if you've been a guest actor on a TV show, you know that it always feels a little like I'm only here for a day or two, and you guys are all in summer.
It's like going to someone else's Thanksgiving dinner. I always say
it's like you can tell they don't give a shit that you're there. Yeah, it's So that was a little.
That is a little crappy.
That was a wrong way, for sure. Yeah.
Can you talk about the snub party, your kiss and tell?
Snub. Yes. Okay. I had to come up with a word, I guess. Yeah. It was just the.
Like, what was that?
Just a lesson. Yeah. Well. Yeah. The lesson that was John Voight. Yeah. And John Voight, I will acknowledge, has certainly gone in a different direction these days.
There. Yep.
Yeah.
Really an actor.
Yeah, can't say I agree with his political views or any of that stuff.
I don't either.
At all. But at the time, in 1997, he was very kind and nice to me. He would go on like walks with me and my dad and our friends. Like, he was
cool.
very, very cool. But yeah, at one point we were shooting a scene together, and we did my coverage first, and then we flipped around to get his coverage, and they said, you know, Jesse, you'll be off camera. And I was like, oh, I'll be off camera. I can go to my trailer and relax. I was, 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
And John Voight grabbed me and turned me around. And he was like, no, 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 no. Like, you have to respect your fellow actor and be there on the other side of the camera. I was there for you. You be there for me. Like, you're not going to screw your other actor over by forcing them to read with some other random person. I mean, give them the same performance. It
breaks the reality of the scene, I think.
Reciprocal, yeah, I don't know. It was a very, very early on, super early lesson, just in terms of respecting your coworkers, your fellow actors, and that was lesson from John.
That's a good lesson. It's funny. I've recently worked on it.
It's also just in terms of just respect. But that if a major, huge actor isn't gonna bail to his trailer for his off-screen stuff, then you certainly can't either. You know what I mean? Like, respect.
Well, I think and not even thinking of the highest level, because I mean they're making a lot more money to be there than you, and sure, people come to see their project because they are in it. I recently worked on the Tulsa King with Stallone is in the scene. We shot the scene for hours. He shot for like 20 minutes. He here's my coverage. Bye, everybody. Of course, it's his baby, but
he didn't read with you.
No, well, in the scene, I'm not reading with him.
Okay,
yeah, he just did the moments that his close-ups, and
the reader read his dialogue. Is what I'm saying for the reverse.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, okay, it's I don't know, but maybe he's just creating content. He doesn't have to be there to play for the content. I don't know. No judgment.
I don't know, man. No judgment. I just, respect for your respect.
But Downey Jr., on the other hand, for this movie, the judge I worked on got cut from. He stayed there for everyone in our smaller roles and just read for us behind the camera. And I was like, that's cool. Like, this guy's Iron Man, and he's there for us.
Do you have, you probably don't have my only picture on hand with Downey Jr.?
I don't.
The only picture I have.
I can drop it in post.
Here, I might be able to just hold it up. I don't know if it'll work or not. But the only picture I have with Downey Jr. is 1997, Gingerbread Man.
Okay.
And it was during, 97. That would have been the peak of his troubles, shall we say?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the only picture I have with him, I love because his pupils are huge. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. His pupils are huge. There it is. His pupils are huge, and his sweater is backwards and inside out. I don't know if you can see it or not there.
I can sort of see it. Wow.
See how his sweater is backwards and inside out?
Yes. It was telling of the time.
Sweaty. His pupils are really big.
I bet he was really nice, though.
He was super nice, and he was really funny. They would let him improvise. They would just... I remember there was one scene we were shooting. It was me and the sister character, and Kenneth Branagh, our dad, got a call and had to walk away, and he had to get... So Downey Jr.'s character got left with me and with the two little kids, and his character was like this kind of fast-talking Georgia lawyer and uncomfortable with kids. And so, the gag was kind of just that Branagh walked away and left him with the two kids kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But they'd always let the camera roll on Downey Jr. because he would always just improvise and do funny stuff. And so they let the camera roll on him for a bit. We were in Savannah, Georgia. We were in this park. And, he's standing there, he's kind of uncomfortable looking at us kids. And across the street, there was a toy store called Tom's Toy World. And he kind of looks at us and, kind of itchy and weird. And he goes, all right, kids, why don't I take y'all down to Tom's Toy World, buy y'all some darts. He offered to buy us darts. Like, what a weird improvised line. Take y'all down to Tom's Toy World, buy y'all some darts.
We're like, oh, okay, sure.
It was just, what a great, what a cool, super funny thing to offer to buy. I don't know, look, it was just funny. Buy y'all some darts.
That is funny.
He was just, he was great. He was really funny.
That's cool. So let's bring it to advice. Anything, because you have shared a bunch of advice throughout the show, anything that you wish you had known growing up in this business that you've learned later, you're like, I got to use that. Which is tricky because you were doing it from the beginning of life.
Yeah, I also don't know that. I don't know that any of my advice would be worth anything.
Yes. It totally is. You've had more on-set experience than anyone I know with the biggest people.
What advice would I give? Always fold your wardrobe. Don't make your wardrobe person do that for you.
Can we just hang it up? We don't have to fold it, right? We just put it back on the hanger.
Yeah, exactly. Put it back.
Right.
Put it back the way you found it.
That's
Don't just leave it laying around the trailer on the floor. You know.
That's good advice. Be cool.
Be cool. Be cool. There's not a single person on set that's more important than any other person on set.
Agreed.
It's such a giant cog. You know, it's such a machine. If a single cog isn't working, then the whole machine breaks down, right? So just because you might be a bigger cog in the machine, maybe you're above the line or you're an actor, you're this or whatever. Sure, if you stop spinning, the whole thing will stop spinning, but the same goes for the smallest cog too. So everybody is working equally hard, if not harder, to make this thing happen. So be kind and respectful and cool to everybody. Everybody on set is 100% equal. I hate that, above the line, below the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, be cool to everybody. In terms of acting, I don't know, find the truth.
That's great.
Teach my students. We talked, I think, today about what's the difference between acting and lying. Do you have a thought about it?
No. Well, I think I am a
lying?
better actor because I learned to lie. I think lying has helped me. Not that I lie to my wife. I'm a very honest person, but lying when I was younger, I think I'm like, well, that's pretty easy. Just got to do that in acting.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was one thing we talked, like, the lying though, like, why do we lie? Like, why do we usually lie? What's the reason we normally lie?
To save ourselves from uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, to protect ourselves generally.
Yes.
But I feel like with acting, acting is the opposite. Like, you're very vulnerable. You're laying yourself bare. You know what I mean? You're doing kind of the opposite of protecting yourself. You're really exposing yourself.
Good point.
So that's you know what I mean. It's like lying is concealing to protect yourself, whereas acting is exposing to leave yourself vulnerable. It's telling the truth so that what I mean. Yeah, you're lying. But you're really trying to kind of open up your underbelly a little bit. It's an interesting thing.
No, you're right, and I think that's probably something I discovered later. That I'm like, oh, I just got to be available and open, and
it's always
the line still comes in sometimes.
What's he saying? The line? Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it's at the end of the day. Well, that was, and then that was the other. We found it easier to find the differences between lying and acting than it is. It's a little harder. I feel like. Can you define the difference between pretending and faking it? Is there a difference?
Ask my wife about that.
Is there a difference between pretending and faking something? Pretending or faking something? Does it come into the same thing of like telling the truth or lying and acting? No. Is there a nuance? Pretending is I don't know. Vocabulary. I was like those.
Take your class.
Huh?
I need to take your class.
Okay, so there you go. For advice, read. Like, to me, like, the more, like, the bigger your vocabulary, like, the more you can picture what you're,
oh, that's good.
Wolfing down a meal, digging into, like, if I can picture something in terms of more specific, like, literary kind of, as opposed to just, like, asking someone a question, like, extracting crucial information, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can word it in like a way that makes it more,
fill that toolbox, and so that toolbox is ready.
Makes it sound fun. I don't know. So just read more.
Yeah,
teaching high school. That's been the tricky thing with the high school. Like, there's the kids today. They don't. I don't know. They feel a little more emotionally muted. I don't know. They're.
It's a social media. It's
They're
Zoom. It's StreamYard.
They're just down. Anyways.
Yeah.
All
right. Hocus Pocus. Do you have anything you do before you hop on a set that makes you more comfortable when you hop on a set, or like anything you need to do? Like, do you pray or dance or eat 3 cheeseburgers? Do you have a thing that you need to do before they say action?
No.
All right. You just
No.
do it.
Yeah, no. I mean, do the homework, like, you know, be prepared. Yeah. But yeah, not in terms of like juju.
Yeah.
I have always been a big believer in a treat after an audition. When I was a kid, it was always a Slurpee. To this day, it feels like victory. So for every audition, you know, even if maybe you don't feel like you did very well or whatever, treat yourself because you did it, right? You went on the audition. That's you know, or you did. Obviously now it's self-tape, whatever. You put the audition on tape. Treat yourself. Get yourself a Slurpee.
For me, it's Pop-Tarts, on-set Pop-Tarts. I'm like, all right, I deserve this Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart, yeah. For me, yeah, Slurpee tastes like victory. Or at least, you know, job well done.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, it might be like a Frappuccino or something. I'm going to play one clip of you as an adult being a jerk again, and then I may free you. How's that sound? Okay.
Wallet, now! I can't. Why the hell not? You said keep my hands where you could see them. Are you trying to be a hero?
I'm a surgical resident.
Hey, shut the hell up. Hey, do you see this, man? I'm not playing around. Just put your phone and wallet on the damn ground.
Please, listen to him.
Shut up! You shut up and get on your knees. I will shoot your crazy ass, I swear to God. Okay. Are you listening to me? I'll do it. Hey, you hear me? Okay. Hey!
Actually, I don't want to call you a jerk. I did see immediate regret, and you felt bad for her.
Yes, right before my throat crushed with a baseball bat.
I saw you had like that huge bubble in your neck. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked like fun. That's actually, I did want to ask you. I know I have had you forever, but I do want to ask you because you did executive produce this movie, The Lucky Man. I'm going to play one quick clip. I just want to hear about that, and then I swear to God, I'll free you.
No worries, man. Please, as long as you need.
Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, and prove me now herewith. So saith the Lord of hosts. If I will not open for you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing.
I didn't know what scene to pick from that because you are all over this in various different emotional states. So I was like, I'll just go with the preacher part of it. But can you just tell me quickly so you've worked a lot in indie film. How did you come to executive produce and star in this? What was this to you?
Well, yeah, it was indie movie.
Good experience. I'm feeling like it wasn't.
Yes, no, it was a good experience. Yeah. I'm just, it was, it was sometimes you get those executive producer credits.
Okay.
It was a project, and it's also one of those things too. You see a clip and you're just like, oh man, I wish I had done this differently.
Oh, sure, but we don't see that.
Nobody likes watching themselves. It was, like we were saying earlier, it's well, the dream is to get offered work without really having to audition for it, or really, even if it's an audition that somebody's already kind of knows your work and is ready for it and wants it, what have you. So yeah, that was an indie movie that the director, it was a first-time director and writer. He reached out to me and wanted me to be in it. And as I accepted the part, we kind of negotiated an executive producer credit. I did. I don't. Have you seen the movie all the way through?
I skimmed through all of it all the way through, if that counts.
I'm just sometimes you get an indie movie and maybe it's a first-time writer or whatever, and so you can kind of use some of your experience to maybe make some suggestions.
Sure.
I saw a twist ending that could have been there that wasn't there.
But it is there now.
But it is there now. Yeah.
Yes, I noticed that.
Yeah, it just the ending. It all came. It was basically. Yeah, it was like originally it was whoever killed my girlfriend at the end was just some random person at the border, and I was the one that suggested having it be the person that I saved towards the beginning. So
okay.
More of like a Spider-Man, so there was a repercussion for something I had done earlier on that came around instead of it just being a completely random act of violence.
That's good.
Kind of tied the narrative together. I'm grateful for indie movies because they teach you a lot of lessons. They keep you humble. They also, just teach you. Everybody has to wear different hats. You know what I mean? I respect and appreciate the kind of hierarchy and bureaucracy of being on like a studio picture where everybody has their roles and everybody has their unions and everybody has their job, because it makes things run pretty efficiently.
Sure.
But at the same time, there is something kind of fun about that rough and tumble, you know, on an indie project. Everybody's wearing it, you know, even though I'm the actor, I'm going to help the grips carry their shit. And even though you're the director, you're going to help craft service set up there. You know what I mean? It's just like, everybody's kind of together. There's much more of a fun guerrilla aspect to it. But at the same time, that gets tiring after, you know, after 10 years of doing that. You're like, please, God, just give me the structured rigidity of a fucking studio picture. You know what I mean? I don't want this, you know, oh, sorry, you're going to have to truck through the mud for 4 hours to get to see, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's sometimes indie movies. Yeah, I love indie movies, but
there's good and bad.
When you've done enough at a certain point, yeah, you're just like, oh man, there's a reason studio pictures get done the way they do.
I do love the flexibility of an indie movie as far as being an actor. I'm like, oh, yeah, room to explore a little bit. But thank you for your time. I encourage people to check out your work. You have a ton more stuff as an adult, and I'm sorry I lean so much on the younger stuff, which you're probably used to. But you have so much work, so much impressive work. So thank you for your time. You rock.
Thank you. Yeah, and you're great too, man. Yeah, I'm trying to see your work. It's always fantastic.
It's when it happens, when they invite us to. You never know.
They let us. Yep.
Yeah, that's why I'm feeling time with this. Thank you so much. Anything you want to talk up, or just anything, parting words, anything, and no pressure for them.
Oh boy. Be excellent to each other. I got nothing to plug.
That's perfect. I like that. Okay, everyone. Thank you, Jesse James, for joining the show. Everyone, like, share, and check out Jesse's gigantic IMDb resume, and look forward to seeing him in the future.